A street girl shouted to a millionaire, "Don't eat that! Your wife has poisoned it." Later, when he returned home determined to confront her, the millionaire stood frozen in disbelief upon uncovering the horror she had plotted. The day began grey, like so many others in that big, indifferent city. The roar of cars, the stench of pollution, and the hurried footsteps of passers-by painted a scene where nobody looked around, much less down. There, tucked between an abandoned newsstand and the trash bin of an upscale cafe, Anna slept. She was 12 years old, but her face already bore lines that didn't belong to a child. Deep shadows under her eyes, skin darkened by time and grime, tangled hair, and the same worn clothes every day. A faded t-shirt with a washed-out cartoon character and patched, threadbare pants. Anna woke up early, before the sun even peeked between the buildings. She carefully folded the piece of cardboard she used as a mattress, slipped her few coins into a small cloth bag, and stepped out into the day, as if marching into a war without any weapons. Breakfast, if you could call it that, was a scramble with rats and pigeons, forgotten scraps at the bottom of trash bins, stale bread crusts, discarded wrappers. Every now and then, if luck was on her side, she'd find a nearly whole piece of fruit. Begging was a test of patience. In front of bakeries, drugstores, at red lights, "Ma'am, could you spare a coin, please?" she'd ask in a soft voice, avoiding eye contact. She'd learned that the less threatening she seemed, the better her chances. But most of the time, she got only silence, glances of disgust or a harsh, "Get out of here, you stinky brat." Anna was invisible, a blur between starch-pressed trousers and high heels. That morning she walked through the city's upscale district, where shop windows displayed dresses that cost more than she'd ever gather in years of begging. The sidewalks were wide and spotless, but the faces cold as marble. She stopped in front of a designer boutique. For a moment, her eyes lit up when she saw a mannequin in a pale blue skirt, as light as the sky she rarely saw. She could almost imagine herself twirling in that dress, running through a real park with an ice cream cone in hand. That's when a woman stepped out of the store, draped in a fur coat and stilettos. Tall and imposing, she carried shopping bags like trophies. Spotting Anna in front of the window, she wrinkled her nose in disgust. "Move!" she snapped. "Creature!" as if shooing away an insect. Anna shrank back, but the woman wasn't done. Noticing a few onlookers, she decided to put on a show. "This is a respectable area, got it? Get to the gutter, that's where you belong." The girl said nothing. She just lowered her gaze, heart clenched but chin held high. She'd heard worse. She'd been beaten for far less. But it still stung. Humiliation didn't build calluses. The woman strutted away, triumphant, leaving behind a trail of expensive perfume and bitter words. Anna stood frozen, staring at her distorted reflection in the glass. She felt dirty, but not on the outside. It was as if the whole world told her every day, "You don't matter." Yet there was something in her eyes that clashed with all that pain. A stubborn spark, like a candle that refuses to go out even in the wind. It was courage, it was hunger, yes, for food, for shelter, for affection, but also a silent flame of resistance. Anna made her way to the nearest alley and sat beside a skinny dog she knew from other days. She shared with him half a moldy piece of bread and gently stroked his head. "Tough day, huh, Rex?" she murmured, as if he were her only friend. The dog wagged his tail slowly as if he understood. She leaned her head against the wall and watched the city's endless flow. Luxury cars, men in suits, women laden with shopping bags. All in a hurry, all too busy to notice the girl crouched on the sidewalk. Little did she know that in the coming hours, everything would change. That the same courage burning silently inside her would soon be put to the test before disbelieving eyes and closed hearts. That her invisibility would shatter with an act as unthinkable as it was heroic. Anna didn't know she was about to cross paths with fate, but still she held on, with the strength of someone who has nothing, yet believes she can have everything. The sun was already dipping behind the buildings when Anna, barefoot and with her soul scorched by the hot asphalt, wandered without any clear destination. The scraps of bread from breakfast no longer filled her up, and her stomach growled like a muted thunder. That's when the scent hit her, warm, enveloping. It was like a forbidden invitation, an aroma straight out of a dream, perfectly roasted meat, garlic sizzling in butter, a thick sauce infused with fresh herbs. It smelled like a feast, fit for royalty. Anna followed the scent as if chasing hope itself. Her nostrils flared involuntarily, and her mouth watered. Her eyes scanned the surroundings until she spotted the source. The Uro Fino restaurant, the most upscale eatery in the entire city. Inside, chandeliers and gilded fixtures gleamed. Outside, marble and elegance reigned. Anna had never ventured this close before. She'd always known a place like that wasn't meant for people like her. But in that moment, driven by hunger and the intoxicating smell, she circled the building, hugging the shadows at the back. Here, away from the patrons, trash collectors and delivery workers unloaded crates. It was a narrow, dimly lit corridor littered with vegetable boxes and sacks of flour. She looked around. Next to a small kitchen window, propped open against the oven heat, stood some stacked crates. Curiosity drove her onward. With effort, she arranged them into a makeshift staircase and climbed up. On tiptoe, she braced one hand on the window frame. What she saw inside stole her breath, not just because of the kitchen's beauty, but because of what was happening there. The kitchen was a ballet of white coats, steaming pots, and rapid-fire commands. One dish was nearly finished, a juicy cut of meat, accompanied by silky mashed potatoes and meticulously sliced vegetables. And that's when Anna saw her. A well-dressed woman, wearing stiletto heels and her hair in a flawless bun, stepped into the kitchen as if she owned the place. She wasn't in uniform, and the staff looked uneasy, but didn't stop her. She pulled a small dark glass vial from her purse. Without hesitation, she dripped a few drops of liquid onto the plate, swift and precise. Her eyes, cold as ice, followed each drop as though she knew exactly what she was doing. Anna held her breath. This wasn't seasoning. It wasn't sauce. It was wrong. It was dangerous. The woman glanced around discreetly, slipped the vial back into her bag, and walked out as if nothing had happened. Anna tumbled down from the crate so fast she nearly fell. Her heart pounded like a drum in her thin chest. The air felt heavier. She knew she'd witnessed something terrible. That woman had poisoned the dish, and someone was about to eat it. She sprinted back to the main entrance. Her bare feet slapped the pavement like thrown stones. She had to warn someone. She had to do something, even if no one believed her, even if they chased her away again. Because this time it wasn't about her, it was about saving a life, and somewhere deep inside, a spark ignited. This might be the moment she stopped being invisible. Anna sprinted across the stone sidewalks, as if fleeing her own shadow. Her heart pounded in her chest, her eyes burned, and panic seized every step. When she reached the entrance of the Uro Fino restaurant, she paused for only a second to catch her breath. The smoked glass doors reflected her image, dirty, disheveled, barefoot, eyes wide with urgency. She took a deep breath and approached the imposing door. "Please," she begged the security guard in a black suit, who didn't even glance at her. "I have to talk to someone. There's poison on the plate. Someone's gonna die." The man arched an eyebrow and twisted his lips, as if even looking at her were a chore. "Go away, kid. This isn't the place for you." "It's real," Anna pleaded. "I saw a woman put poison in the food. Someone's going to die in there." Another guard stepped up, laughing. "The only thing toxic here is her stench. Go wash yourself, you little brat." Desperate, Anna tried to push past them. "I'm telling the truth. It's a man. He's going to eat it. He's going to—" She was shoved hard. She fell to the ground, scraping her knee on the concrete, but she got up again as if she felt no pain. A waiter approached with a bored look. "What's this brat doing here?" he asked. "She says there's poison in the food. She's crazy. Just wants attention," the guard replied. "You really think anyone would poison someone in this restaurant?" "Here?" the waiter sneered, laughing derisively. Tears welled in Anna's eyes, but she didn't cry. She was tired of shouting into a world that wouldn't listen, but this time someone was going to die. And she knew that if she didn't act now, she'd carry this guilt forever. That's when she saw, through the glass doors, the waiter emerging from the kitchen with the plate in his hands. She recognized the dish, the same one she'd seen tainted, and she saw who it was meant for. An elegant man in a dark suit with a distinguished air, seated at the center table, casually talking with fellow businessmen. It was him. Without thinking twice, Anna wrenched her arm free from the guard's grip, dropped low, and slipped under the turnstile. She heard shouts behind her, but she was already racing across the polished, opera house-like dining room. Patrons gasped in shock at the sight of the filthy, panting girl in their midst. The waitstaff tried to catch her, but she was already shouting, "Don't eat it, don't eat! Your wife put poison on your plate!" Silverware froze mid-air. Marcello had just lifted a forkful toward his mouth. He paused, distracted, when he heard the scream. For a heartbeat, time stood still. Anna stopped a few feet from the table, panting. "Poison," she repeated in a whisper. "I saw she put something in the sauce." Marcello's eyes went wide. The fork dropped from his hand. Chaos erupted. One of Marcello's companions rose to snatch Anna away, but there was no time. Marcello clutched his stomach, slumped in his chair, and began gasping uncontrollably. His eyes rolled back. His body convulsed. A wine glass toppled onto the white tablecloth, its crimson contents spreading like a pool of blood. Screams, chairs scraping. Panic spread through the restaurant like wildfire. Patrons leapt to their feet. Staff ran in confusion. Anna stood frozen, watching the elegant man collapse, eyes glazed. She wanted to run to him, to prove she was telling the truth, but heavy hands seized her arms with brutal force. "Do you think this is funny? What have you done, you little monster?" one guard roared, shaking her in fury. "I was trying to save him. I was warning you." Anna screamed, but nobody listened. Outside, the ambulance lights drew nearer. On the floor of the city's most expensive restaurant, a man hovered between life and death, and in the midst of it all, an invisible, filthy, desperate girl was dragged away as if she were the culprit. And still, amid the terror, she knew she did the right thing, and the worst was yet to come. The dining hall of the Urofino restaurant had turned into a battlefield. Fallen chairs, shattered glasses, screams for help. The scent of freshly served food now mingled with panic and urgency. In the center, Marcello's body convulsed. Eyes rolled back, foam at his lips. Una, even as two guards held her roughly, shouted at the top of her lungs, "I tried to warn you! It was her! I saw her! The woman put poison on his plate!" But nobody listened. An enraged maître pointed at her as if she were the embodiment of evil. "That street rat barged in and attacked the customer. She must have poisoned his dish." "How disgusting!" "I saw her sneak in," a waiter chimed in. "She dropped something on his plate. Yes, lies, all of them, but spoken with such conviction they sounded true to the crowd. And then, as if fate wanted to complete this theater of the absurd, Patricia entered the restaurant, dressed in premature mourning, a sleek black dress, smudged makeup, a desperate expression. Her eyes swept over the chaos before landing purposefully on her husband's writhing form. "Marcello, my God!" she screamed theatrically, rushing to his side. She knelt beside him, even though the paramedics were already taking over. With feigned tenderness, she touched his face. Tears, obviously planted, trickled down her cheeks. "What happened to my husband? Who did this?" The maître didn't hesitate. "This street urchin. She broke in and poisoned Mr. Nogueira's plate. We're waiting for the police." Patricia turned, eyes wide as if beholding the devil. I saw it. I saw her dump something on his plate. My God, why didn't anyone stop her?" Anna froze. This was the same woman she'd seen pouring that dark liquid into the sauce, and now she was twisting the story. "That's a lie!" Anna screamed desperately. "It was her! She put poison in the food! I saw her go into the kitchen and—" A sudden slap cut across her face. Quick, violent, muted only by the restaurant din. One of the guards silenced her with brute force. "Enough of your lies, you sewer rat." Outside, the blue lights of the squad car reflected off the restaurant's glass walls. The police had arrived. 2 officers and a sergeant entered swiftly, taking in the scene. The maître and Patricia hurried to meet them, scripted lines at the ready. "The girl broke in and poisoned Mr. Marcelo Nogueira's plate. Witnesses saw her. She attacked for no reason. She's probably unstable or on drugs," the maître declared firmly. "I saw it all. It was horrible. My husband almost died before my eyes," Patricia added, stifling a sob. The officers turned to Anna, now seated on the floor, hands cuffed behind her back, knee bleeding, face swelling. Still, her voice was steady. "They're lying. I was just trying to help. I saw her put poison in the food. They're covering for her." The sergeant sighed, sizing up the girl from head to toe. Dirty clothes, harsh odor, grimy skin, cuts on her arms. "Do you have any proof?" he asked without an ounce of courtesy. Anna shook her head, tears brimming. "I'm the only one who saw it, but it's true. Please believe me." "Take her away," the sergeant ordered. Without further questions, the officers cuffed her and led her outside, weaving through horrified patrons, some filming, others taunting. Outside, the press had already gathered, cameras, microphones, flashes. "Is it true she tried to kill Marcelo Nogueira? How did a child get into the restaurant? What's the businessman's condition?" No one asked the girl's name. No one asked what she had to say. Anna climbed into the squad car with dry eyes. She didn't cry anymore. Something inside her had hardened. She knew no one would hear her voice tonight. Meanwhile, Patricia remained by the ambulance, comforted by reporters. She wept into a friend's shoulder, clutching the purse where the dark vials still lay untouched. The world applauded the actress and crucified the only person who'd tried to tell the truth. The ambulance siren cut through the city like a desperate scream. Inside, Marcelo Nogueira trembled uncontrollably, his body covered in wires, IV drips and monitors, his eyes half closed, skin ashen. Time inside felt cruelly stretched between each shallow breath. "Blood pressure dropping," yelled one paramedic as another injected a dose of atropine. "Irregular heart rhythm. He'll arrest if we don't get there in 2 minutes." The ambulance ran red lights, sped through avenues, until it finally screeched to a halt at the emergency entrance of St. Clair Hospital, the city's top trauma center. Marcelo was rushed straight into the ICU doors. As doctors scrambled to set up, preliminary details of the case filtered in. A wealthy, powerful man, head of a corporate empire, now fighting for his life, allegedly poisoned by a street girl. Inside the operating suite, silence was tense. 2 veteran physicians examined blood tests and scanned lab reports. "This isn't food poisoning," the senior doctor said, frowning. "This is chemical poisoning. Advanced, highly concentrated." "Any idea what agent?" "Looks like warfarin mixed with digitoxin. A rare combo, almost exclusively used in slow-acting assassination attempts. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing." Time raced like a countdown. Marcelo's body spasmed, then went limp. Antidotes were administered, an emergency gastric lavage performed, aggressive fluid resuscitation, and mechanical ventilation engaged. For 5 hours, the medical team fought death with everything they had. Miles away, in a cold, windowless room, Anna sat handcuffed to a metal chair. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead. A fan churned slowly, spreading the smell of mildew and cigarette smoke. "Are you still lying?" one officer barked, arms crossed across his chest. Anna was exhausted, red-rimmed eyes, voice hoarse. "I'm not lying. I was only trying to help." "You broke into a luxury restaurant, attacked a businessman, and now you claim his wife tried to kill him," the officer sneered. "I saw her. She put something on his plate. I just wanted to warn them." He leaned in, close enough that she could feel his breath. "Do you know who Marcelo Nogueira is? He's one of the most powerful men in the country. And you? A street kid. No family. No proof. Who's going to believe you?" Anna lowered her gaze, not out of shame, but defeat. She wanted to scream, to resist, but it was like shouting at concrete walls. Hours passed in that room. No food, no lawyer. No one even bothered to ask her real name. Outside, the press repeated their headlines: "Street girl tries to kill businessman in luxury restaurant." The newspapers had their stories ready. Social media exploded with snap judgments. No one questioned. No one investigated. Anna was the perfect target. Poor, filthy, alone. Easy to accuse. Easy to forget. Back at the hospital, Marcelo's vital signs finally began to stabilize. The cardiac monitor ticked out a steady rhythm. His breathing, still machine-assisted, remained constant. The poison had been neutralized in time. He was alive by a hair. The doctors emerged from the ICU exhausted but relieved. "We did it," the chief physician announced. "For now, he's out of immediate danger, but he needs intensive monitoring. The next few days will be critical." Meanwhile, Anna remained locked away, alone, in silence, seated on the cell's cold floor. Her knees still bled, her face swollen. In her mind ran a loop. "I did the right thing, I did the right thing." But in that world, doing the right thing seemed to hold no value at all. The ICU was silent, except for the steady beeping of the monitors. The dim light fell on Marcelo Nogueira's pale face. He'd been unconscious for 3 days. The poison had been neutralized, but left deep scars on his body. He was recovering slowly, as if climbing out of a dark abyss. On the morning of the 4th day, his eyes finally fluttered open. The light stabbed at him. Everything was blurry. The air felt thick, and a sharp pain throbbed in his abdomen. But he was alive. "Mr. Nogueira?" asked a nurse in a gentle voice. "Can you hear me?" Marcelo didn't answer right away. His mind scrambled to place himself, to remember what had happened. Fragments flickered like smeared images. Dinner, the bite, the strange taste, the screams, a child's voice, a desperate voice. "Don't eat. Your wife put poison on it." He squeezed his eyes shut, trying to push the pain waves away. But the memory wouldn't let go. A little girl, dirty, frightened, shouting at him not to eat. Marcelo looked at the nurse with effort. "The girl," he whispered, barely audible. "The girl screamed." The nurse leaned in. "What girl, sir?" "The girl. She said poison." His words were jumbled, but enough to sow doubt. By the end of the day, a detective from the precinct was called to the hospital to interview Marcelo. The businessman could barely sit up, but he insisted on speaking. I remember a girl. She burst into the restaurant, screaming, said there was poison on my plate I had already eaten. After that, I only remember the pain." The detective scribbled in his notebook, attentive. "The police have a different take, sir. Witnesses say the girl dropped something on your plate." "No," Marcelo interrupted with effort. "She was trying to stop me. It wasn't an attack. It was a warning." "Are you sure?" "I'm absolutely sure." The detective exchanged glances with the nurse. This changed everything. Hours later, the precinct received a formal request to reopen the case. Marcelo demanded that the girl's version be heard. In the detention center, Anna remained locked up. She stared at the cell floor as if time had stopped. She expected nothing now. She didn't even ask for anything. Then a female officer hurried in and unlocked the door. "Stand up. You're free to go." Anna's eyes went wide. "What?" "The poisoning victim woke up. He confirmed your story. You're being released." She rose slowly, as if afraid it might be a dream. The handcuffs were removed. They handed her a plastic bag with her few possessions, a piece of string, a button, a coin. No name. No apology. No one offered her a ride. No one asked where she was headed. Outside, the city carried on with its noisy, cold indifference. Anna walked without direction. Her bare feet burned on the hot pavement. Her mind swirled. She was free. But free for what? People passed her without noticing. Some, seeing her bruised face and torn clothes, looked away. Others wrinkled their noses. No one knew she had saved a life. Anna returned to the same streets, the same alleys. She sat beside a trash bin, pulled her knees to her chest, and stared up at the sliver of sky between the buildings. She had done the right thing, but she was still invisible. Hunger was a ghost that always returned. No matter what happened, no matter how many lives she saved, it was there gnawing inside her. 2 days had passed since Anna was set free. No one looked for her, no interviews, no help, no thanks. She remained invisible, even after the truth came out. With her stomach empty, she went back to the only place she knew might have scraps, the back of the Uro Fino restaurant. It was night. The city slept, but the alleys stayed alive. Anna crawled between the crates like a shadow, rifling through the bags the waitstaff tossed out after closing time. She found a half-eaten apple, a piece of moldy bread, a chicken bone, nothing more. Then she felt something strange, a chill up her spine, an unsettling silence. She lifted her eyes and saw her. There, standing in the shadows, dressed in black with her hair in disarray, was Patricia. Her eyes were glassy, makeup smudged, and in her trembling hand a dagger glinted under the weak lamplight. "Finally I found you," she said in a low, quivering voice. Anna took a step back, terrified. "Why?" "You ruined everything, you filthy brat," Patricia snarled, advancing a step. "You should have died that day. No one would have missed you." I only tried to save him," Anna whispered, voice shaking. "And now he knows, and now I've lost everything, money, reputation, and it's your fault." Patricia raised the dagger. Anna ran, tripping over garbage bags. She fell. The blade scraped her shoulder. The woman lunged like a crazed beast. "I'm going to silence you forever!" Anna screamed for help. But no one passed by at that hour. The city that always ignored her now let her die alone. Then, from the darkness, a firm voice rang out, "Let her go, Patricia." The woman froze and turned slowly. Marcello, pale, still bandaged and wearing a sling, he was there. He'd followed a hunch and found exactly the scene he'd feared. "You!" Patricia panted, eyes wide. "You should have been dead!" "But I'm not. And now everyone knows the truth. You tried to kill me." She screamed and lunged at him with the dagger. Marcello dodged, but the blade cut his shoulder. He cried out in pain, staggered, but stayed on his feet. He fought to grab her arm and disarm her. It was a brutal struggle, full of shoves, blood and rage. Anna, curled up in a corner, watched with wide eyes. Marcello finally wrenched Patricia's arm, knocking the dagger to the floor. She dropped to her knees, panting, defeated, but still full of hatred. "Think you've won?" she hissed, looking at Anna. "This isn't over, it never ends." Injured, Marcello turned to Anna. "You okay?" The girl nodded, swallowing back tears. She ran to him, helping him stay upright. In the distance, police sirens wailed. Someone finally had heard the screams, but the worst was already behind them, or almost. Red and blue lights sliced through the dark night like streaks of lightning, reflecting off the grimy alleys downtown. Sirens echoed as two police cruisers screeched to a halt behind the Urofino restaurant. Guns drawn, the officers sprinted toward the fray. "Drop your weapon! Drop it and get your hands on your head!" Patricia was on her knees, panting, her face slick with sweat and fury. The dagger lay discarded on the pavement, and Marcello, bleeding from his shoulder, stood only with Anna's help. Seeing the police, Patricia tried to compose herself. "It was her," she yelled, pointing at Anna. "That girl attacked me again. She wants to kill us." But this time, no one believed her. The officers already knew the truth. They'd heard Marcello's hospital testimony. The case had been reopened. Every clue pointed to one person, Patricia Nogueira, the wife who'd tried to poison her own husband for gain. "Miss Patricia, you're under arrest for attempted first-degree homicide and aggravated assault," the lead officer announced as he snapped handcuffs on her. She struggled and kicked, but they subdued her firmly. As they marched her past Anna, she leaned in and spat with venom. "This isn't over, you sewer rat. I'll get out, and when I do, you'll answer for every crime you committed," Marcello cut in, glaring at her, "and this time no one will protect you." She was hauled away screaming, watched by officers and the lenses of cell phone cameras already rolling. Because now the story had taken a completely different turn. Minutes later, journalists swarmed the restaurant's front entrance. Headlines flashed across phone screens. "Marcello Nogueira reappears and reveals street girl saved his life." "Urofino twist, businessman's wife arrested for attempted murder." The same media that once branded Anna a criminal now raced to retell everything. Live broadcasts, camera crews at the scene, photos of Marcello on a stretcher beside Anna flooded every news portal. But Anna didn't smile. There was no glory in this moment, only relief and pain. "I'll be..." At the hospital, Marcello was rushed into the emergency bay. The cut in his shoulder was deep, but not life-threatening. The medical team acted quickly. He was fully conscious, despite the pain, and asked only for Anna. Outside the treatment room, Anna sat alone, hands dirty, knees scraped. A nurse approached with a blanket and a cup of coffee. Anna accepted shyly. For the first time, someone offered her something without asking for anything in return. That night's news carried the new narrative. While she was wrongly accused, 12-year-old Anna, the street girl, risked her life to save Marcello Nogueira. Her courage was ignored, her voice silenced, but the truth finally emerged. The real villain, Patricia Nogueira, now behind bars. The nation is moved by the story of the invisible girl who saved one of its most powerful men. On social media, hashtags like "Ju Anna the Hero" and "Juwash Justice for Anna" trended. People commented, shared, and lamented the prejudice so many like her endure. But for Anna, it was still a distant world, one that had always ignored her. She didn't want fame. She only wanted to belong. And unbeknownst to her, that wish was about to come true. The late afternoon light filtered softly through the hospital windows. Marcello's recovery room was silent, scented faintly of flowers, with the distant sound of footsteps in the hallway. His shoulder still ached, but his spirit felt lighter than ever. After days teetering between life and death, he was finally at peace. Seated in the chair beside the bed, Marcello reflected on how everything had changed so swiftly: his marriage, the betrayal, the poison. But most of all, he thought of her, Anna, the girl everyone had ignored, humiliated, accused, beaten down, and yet she risked everything to save him. The image of her running through the restaurant, screaming, still burned in his mind. The door opened quietly. Anna appeared tentative, still dressed in her simple street clothes, but with a clean face and eyes that shone. She held a single yellow rose, plucked from who knows where. "May I come in?" "Always, Anna," Marcello replied with a heartfelt smile. She stepped forward slowly, as if the room were another world. She sat on the edge of the bed, rose in hand. "It's for you. I thought you might like it." Marcelo took the rose gently, as though it were the most precious gift, and placed it in a glass of water on the bedside table. "It's the most valuable flower I've ever received," he said, voice thick with emotion. Anna looked up at him, uncertain. "Are you feeling better?" "Much better, thanks to you." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Marcelo spoke, gazing into her eyes. "Anna, I've been doing a lot of thinking about everything, about me and about you." She watched him, waiting. "I've spent my whole life surrounded by luxury, fame and money, but I was blind. I never realized what truly matters is who's willing to reach out when everyone else turns away, and you did that." Anna lowered her eyes. A single tear slid down her cheek. "I didn't do it because you're rich. I did it because it was the right thing to do." Marcelo nodded. "I know. And that's why I want to make you an offer, a choice." Her brow creased in curiosity. "I want you to come live with me, not out of charity or obligation, but because you changed my life. I want to take care of you, to give you a home, a school, a real bed." Anna blinked, stunned. "And more than that." Marcelo's voice caught. "I'd like to adopt you, legally. If you'll let me, I want you to be my daughter." His words hung in the air like a miracle. Anna felt the world spin. Her chest tightened. Tears welled in her eyes. "You want to be my dad?" Marcelo smiled. "If you'll have me." She didn't reply. She just leapt onto him, hugging him fiercely as if she'd never let go. "No one ever called me their daughter before." The embrace lasted long seconds. It was more than gratitude. It was redemption. It was the birth of a new story. Marcelo stroked her hair. "Welcome to your new life, Anna." In that moment, the street girl became visible. For the first time, she belonged to someone. For the first time, she had a name, a place, a family. And it all began right there. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, cameras, onlookers, all eager to witness the conclusion of a story that began with ignored cries and now ended with the truth laid bare before the nation. Patricia Nogueira sat before the judge, head bowed. The evidence was indisputable. Toxicology reports, Marcelo's testimony, security footage showing her entering the kitchen. The poison vial had been found in her purse, hidden beneath a false lining. Throughout the trial, she tried to maintain her haughty composure. But when the verdict was read, 20 years for attempted murder and perjury, she crumpled to pieces. No one applauded, no one defended her. Her empire of facade and manipulation had collapsed. Months passed. Marcelo's mansion, once a cold expanse of marble, now buzzed with life. Curtains were drawn back to let the sun in. Colorful potted plants brightened every corner. Children's books and toys filled the living room. On Sunday afternoons, the scent of freshly baked cake wafted through the halls. Laughter echoed down the corridors. Anna, now dressed in fresh clothes and clutching school books, left every morning for class. She loved learning. She adored history, loathed math, and delighted in drawing. A photo collage hung on her bedroom wall, the day she got her first school uniform, the day they adopted a dog, the day Marcelo introduced her to the world as his daughter. She wasn't just living, she was flourishing. On weekends, she joined Marcelo in social projects. Together they visited shelters, community centers, and events offering meals and support to other street children. Anna had become a symbol of a larger cause. She was no longer invisible. She also began to write, notebook after notebook filled with words, sketches, and memories. She called it "my way of stitching the past to the future." One day, Marcelo entered her room and spotted on her desk the opening lines of a book, penned in round letters. "My name is Anna. I was a street kid. But now I'm the daughter of a man who saw me with the right kind of eyes. And then the sun began to set. Marcello and Anna walked side by side through a quiet park. He still wore a discreet sling on his arm, and she carried a book under her elbow. "Have you chosen a title for your book yet?" he asked. "Not yet," she replied with a smile. "But maybe it'll be light at the end of the street." Marcello nodded, his eyes misty. "Perfect." They paused at the edge of the pond as the sunset painted the sky in oranges and golds, the colors reflected in Anna's eyes. She squeezed his hand. There, hand in hand, father and daughter looked ahead. The road was still long, but now there was light. There was home. There was love. Because in the end, truth and courage are stronger than any poison, and even the most harrowing destinies can be transformed by the power of a sincere embrace. I hope you enjoyed today's story. If you did, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more stories like this. Leave a like and comment below what you thought about the story. See you in the next video.